Welcome to Wakecon, where we discuss housing economics and the economic forces shaping our communities. We're powered by Professor Lending, which is based in Wake Forest, North Carolina, hence Wake Econ put together. I'm Jordan Steffaniak, your home mortgage professor, licensed loan originator, and president of Professor Lending, and I am thrilled to be here with you all today. In today's episode, I'm going to be covering briefly President Trump's remarks on home prices. And this is really valuable information here because there's always question and concern about home prices, home values. Should they go up? Should they go down? Should we want them to go up? Should we want them to go down? Is this problematic for affordability if they go up? Is this simply helping the boomers if they go up and they continue to go up and forcing everybody else to not have any access to home prices or not home prices, but just homes in general? Before we jump in, let's go ahead and show you the video remarks from President Trump on these home prices, and that will give you a little bit of context for what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can watch it.
One of the things Scott said, though, is, again, existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand it. There's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
All right, so there it is. Just 30-second clip. Most people, I think, saw just that little 5-second piece there where he said, I don't want prices to go down. I want to drive them up. And I've seen numerous comments on this, mostly negative in the sense of why in the world would we want home prices to go up? We should want them to go down. We have an affordability crisis on our hands. Okay, there's a couple of things that you need to understand about the housing market. Number one, that price factor is driven almost entirely by the simple supply and demand curve. Okay. As long as supply is low, we're going to have large prices. As long as demand is high, we'll have large prices. It doesn't matter what the government wants or what you want or what your brother wants or anything else. It's all a matter of supply and demand. And that supply curve is all based up and bound in the builders. So if builders, either one, don't have enough employees and infrastructure to build more homes, or if they don't have enough price incentive to build more homes, or if they have lots of weather issues for building homes quickly, they have permit issues or regulation issues that makes it really difficult to build homes. All those reasons can easily bring the supply of homes down. And so if you bring the supply of homes down, if you have 10 people who want to buy a house and only 4 are built, what's going to happen to the value of those houses? If you have 10 homes built and 10 people who want to buy them, what's going to happen to the value of the houses? It's very simple economics here. So a lot of people make this really complicated when it's not. It's all about supply and demand. So long as there are not enough homes, which there are not, for the number of buyers out there, the number of people who want to buy homes, the number of people who are qualified to buy homes, your home values and home prices are going to go up. Now, there's another piece of this equation that you should be aware of, and that is that home prices and home values have been going up ever since we started tracking this data. They go up every single year. Now, this is the actual growth rate of the homes. 3 to 4% is usually on average. Now, if you want to do the real growth and you take out inflation, it's closer to 0 to 1%. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is, it always grows every single year. There's a small period in 2007 to 2010 that they do go down a little bit, but then they correct right back up. So the truth of the matter is, home prices already always go up. And the fact that the government would want to protect this and protect the value of homes makes complete sense. It's not because they want to hurt affordability. I think actually the statement here is really reasonable and surprisingly on target. And the fact is, The government wants to protect this because it's the largest asset most people have. It's the asset that most people have that allows them to build generational wealth. I mean, homeowners are 250% more wealthy than non-homeowners. They amass significantly more wealth than non-homeowners. I think the last number I saw was well over $1 million. They have more in assets because of the home that they own and the fact that that appreciates over time, and it's protected in a way that liquid assets aren't. It's much more difficult to tap into and take money out, so you're kind of protected from that perspective. It's a lot of people's really only source of generational wealth. The fact of the matter is, it makes sense to want to protect that. The entire government, United States government and structure is built around protecting the value of homes. If home values were to crash, that would be very problematic for a number of people in this country. You think, oh, well, what about the boomers? I'm like, okay, you got to take the whole picture, and you got to understand how the housing market works and how it's worked since the early, I mean, really, since the invention of the Federal Housing Administration, the invention of Fannie Mae, the invention of more modern mortgages. I mean, you got originally in the mortgage market, you're talking 50% down, 5-year balloon payment, interest only payments. And then you come to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, you start to see this growth and its advent of more traditional mortgages as you would see them today that gives credit access to a number of people that didn't have it before, allows them to purchase homes. And then you have this entire market that's built around housing and shelter that's unique compared to any other industry. And it's actually very important to maintain the value of these things. But regardless of the sort of just overall economic value of protecting the home value, the truth of the matter is that this is simply a matter of supply and demand. So no matter what you think, no matter what you desire, it's all about supply and demand. If they don't build enough homes, there will always be elevated growth in the value of a home. Period. If you build too many homes, then that's an issue. But the reality is, we do not have the infrastructure, the number of workers, and the interest in builders to build more homes than they're already building. So remember, the builders aren't just a charity case, okay? They're there to make money. And so they're not gonna build more homes than are gonna be bought. So they're always gonna be building less theoretically than is required for the economy to, I guess, everybody in America to be able to have a house. They're not gonna do that because they wanna make money. They wanna maximize their profits. And so there's always gonna be a little bit of a lag in supply, which is always gonna push that, value of the home up. Now, is that bad news for affordability? No, not necessarily. So, as long as wage growth can keep up with the increase in value of the house or surpass it, which right now wage growth is surpassing the growth in the value of a home. As long as that can do that year over year for a period of time, the affordability crisis can slowly become less of a challenge. Wage growth outpacing home price appreciation. And then if you can have a little bit more downward pressure on interest rates, on mortgage interest rates, you can suddenly resolve the affordability crisis without having to tamper with people's largest asset, without having to say, I want to artificially drive this value down. No, let the market do its work. Incentivize builders to build more homes? Yeah, sure. Deregulate some of the useless red tape that's around building homes in some ways. In some ways, it needs to be there, but there are definitely some ways that it's overkill. You could probably save some money and create some efficiency there. But at the end of the day, as long as you can help wage growth outpace home appreciation, and you can have a little bit of downward pressure on the mortgage interest rates, suddenly over time, 5, 10 years from now, affordability crisis is no longer a big thing. People aren't talking about it, and people can afford a house. Now, there's all sorts of questions that go along with this. People are just not educated on what opportunities they have. They don't understand the macroeconomy and how things work, and so they look at the large boom and growth in the value of the house, and they get mad or whatever, and they think they can't purchase a house, or they think that it's unfair. Guys, this is just how sort of the economy works in some ways. And so you've gotta realize the value of homeownership, and you've gotta realize that there are pathways to homeownership for most everybody. Even people who, aren't able yet to buy a house, there are pathways to buy a house relatively quickly. You just have to be educated and understand the avenues how to get there. So if that's you and you think, "I can't buy a house, how do I get there?" You could talk to somebody like me, you could talk to somebody else, talk to a mortgage professional in your area, put a game plan together, understand your finances and your portfolio, and understand how to get from point A to point B, because owning a home is the most important thing that you can do for your family, for your future, and for your own generational wealth. Does that make sense? So hopefully I haven't rambled too long in this little video here, and hopefully this gives you a sense for the fact that home values will always appreciate. That's just the fact of the matter, and the government has a vested interest in protecting that. But also, it's just a matter of supply and demand. So the home values are just always going to grow. So it's not a bad thing that they grow. That's how inflation works. We live in an inflationary economy ever since the Great Depression. Really, we've seen inflation as just sort of part of how the United States economy, as well as the world economy, functions. Debt is leveraged to grow things and to increase things, and so that's just kind of how it works now. And everybody is benefiting from this. Everybody has the same sort of skin in the game in this. And yes, there are some pockets that are disproportionately affected, but by and large, it's a good thing that the housing market works this way, and you should just simply buy a house as soon as you can. And there are pathways for you who feel like you can't buy a house. There definitely are. So just you got to learn. You got to put in the work. You got to figure out the options and solutions. I know the Dave Ramsey jokes are funny where, if I just give up a coffee every day, suddenly I can have money for a down payment. But then you realize, oh, that's only $2,000 or whatever. You can get into a house with little to no down payment, sometimes 0%, depending on the financing option. So there are options available to people that can actually make it accessible. It's just oftentimes you just get sort of victimized and think that there's no real way, but there is. Oh, like put aside the worries, go talk to a professional and you'll find out, hey, there's a real pathway to me owning a house, being a part of this generational wealth building opportunity. Super important. So, all that to say, is it a bad thing that home values go up? Absolutely not. That's a good thing. And how do we make housing more affordable? Is it by driving home prices down? No. I mean, that obviously that would make housing more affordable, but it would create a huge swath of people in our country, and it would create chaos. So that's probably not a good way to do it. That would help people who don't own a home, I guess, but everybody else who owns a home, 60% of the people in the country, would be in big trouble. Yeah, so I'm not gonna explain all the problematic things that could happen from that, but what is the solution? Wage growth outpacing the inflation of the home, and then, moderate push down on the mortgage interest rates. Now, as you see, you don't wanna push it down to 2%. Again, I mean, that would be great. Everybody would love it. Yeah, cheap. But that, when you get super low, you start to push the home values up because suddenly everybody's buying power is so much stronger that they can offer larger sums of money to purchase those things. And so that pushes home values really, really, really far up. But it's not unprecedented to see what we saw in COVID. You'll see these random periods where there's these housing booms, 10% appreciation suddenly after you've had a period of 0, 1, 2, 3% per year. Suddenly 10%. Go back to even the 40s. You see 20% plus for 2 years in a row. That doesn't mean that we need to artificially depress home prices. You just need to let the system work itself out. Let wage growth grow. Keep interest rates at a place to where the home values don't go out of control. Make sense? Hopefully it does. If you have questions, thoughts, concerns, ideas, drop them in the comments below. If you like the video, just go ahead and like it. If you enjoyed it, share it with a friend. I appreciate you for tuning in. This is hopefully educational for you. It's a resource. I do these things because I think they can help educate more people out there. There's too many people out there who don't have resources or don't have the way or the opportunities to learn about housing economics, about how economics can affect our own communities. Housing market's one of the most important things to our own local communities. Yes, we can look at a national level, but it's also really important on our own local level. Obviously, that's where we live. It's where people live. They live in houses. So let me know what you think. You can drop me an email too if you need some help or want to schedule some time to discuss these things. I'd love to talk more about your own personalized situation. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching this.